What up, guys? So coming at you today with more hack squat hacks. Particularly, I will be discussing band setup on hacks. I'm going to try and give you the most complete guide that I can, showing you one specific to this piece of equipment. So I have the Arsenal hack, which is a pretty common piece. So if you guys have this piece, this is going to be really easy for me to show showing you guys how to set it up. If you don't have this one, I'm going to try and go through a couple different scenarios or things that you can do, hopefully to have something match your hack. Before I get into that, if you haven't already, don't forget to hit that subscribe, that like button, because I'm going to try and do more of this type of stuff, more band setup. I have a lot of questions for that. So before I get into that, I keep doing stuff before I get into the other stuff. Before I get into the good stuff, I'm going to explain briefly like what the hell is the point of banding stuff. Disclaimer, do you have to band anything? Is it necessary? There's almost nothing in the gym that's considered truly necessary, except maybe progress being shown, whether it's with volume or load or whatever. So no, can you have big ass legs and never banding anything? Of course. Bands just come really down to this notion of efficiency. So depending on who you are, depending on how long you've been training, depending on your goals, is efficiency that important to you? It's like, does everybody have to write down every single thing that they eat? Probably not. You know, if you're getting ready for the Olympia, probably do. So again, there's this thing, basically your squat pattern. So when someone squats, is a very good exercise. You would consider it an ascending profile, basically, as you're coming through the concentric, which just means you're stronger at the top comparatively to the bottom. And again, you don't have to completely understand strength profiles or what I'm going to do with this machine to adjust its resistance profile. But really, if common sense, everybody kind of gets it just a little bit. If I asked you to show me what is your squat max staying just in the bottom 6 inches of the range of motion or just the top 6 inches of the range of motion, obviously you know where you would be stronger. It's the same weight on your back. It's traveling the same distance in space, but you're significantly stronger at the top. And that just has to do with how that load expresses on joints in your body, how it creates torque in your body. And it really comes down to this thing called moment arms. And again, how they combine with load to create torque at joints. You don't have to understand all that, but basically as you come to the top, you're stronger because the joints are kind of stacking with that line of force. Moment arms get shorter. So if the goal is to come in and tax your muscles as much as possible in the gym, not just with X amount of load for X amount of reps, but through the entire range of motion, that's really what this is all about. So whether you band from the top or band from the bottom, if you do it properly, the goal is to make the top of the range of motion heavier than the bottom. And it should be a relative percentage of the load you're using. And again, I don't think the exact percentage is that important. But realize, obviously, you know, if you've just got a plate each side, you might be able to do it with a little skinny band. If you've got 8 plates each side, you're probably going to need a comparatively bigger band, whether from the top or whether from the bottom. So again, what is the difference whether you do it from the top or the bottom? There might be some subtle differences in feel, might be a couple other subtle differences that aren't that important. But the reality is I choose setup based on convenience. And again, if you can squat, 300 pounds at the bottom and 500 pounds on the top, realize if you put bands on, obviously, if you have that 500 pounds of plates at the top, you want bands so that when you drop to the bottom, it's basically assisting you enough so you're making the bottom 300 pounds. Now, let's say I want to band it from the bottom. Well, then I'm going to put less weight on the sled, 300 pounds on the sled. So when you're at the bottom, it's 300 pounds. And I'm going to set bands so as soon as you start to come on, as soon as you start to come up, they come on, they start to stretch, they add resistance. And by the time you're at the top, you're stretched to the point where it's 500 pounds. So really the goal is using that completely made up example. Don't write those down in those percentages. If I want it 300 at the bottom, 500 at the top, hopefully that makes sense how you can accomplish it. Again, banding from the top or banding from the bottom. And so again, I'm going to show you most machines. I find it's easier to set up the bands from the top. Just for semantic reasons, it's normally easier to have stuff to attach the bands around and all that good stuff. I'm going to show you the Arsenal piece is really easy to band from the bottom as well too, because they actually have pegs for the bands. But again, go for semantic reasons. Again, figure out whatever is easier. Once you do it once and do that setup once, it's pretty easy. It'll go quick after that point in time. That all being said, are there people out there doing this completely wrong? Of course. Is there someone that basically can squat, 2 plates down at the bottom of a hack squat? They've got 47 bands up here and this thing loaded out so they look good for the gram. Yes, but that's nothing new. Everybody does that. So again, hopefully you guys set it up properly. What you're really trying to do, and the way that I find is really easiest to create the biggest difference, is to have at some point in the range of the motion the bands completely relaxed. So when we're banding it from the top, when you're finishing maybe let's say those last 6 inches, somewhere in that last 6 inches of the range of motion, you want the bands completely relaxed. And so basically you know you're gonna have the weight that's on the sled you're actually handling, and that way you're creating a big discrepancy from top to bottom. So if the bands are stretched tight the whole time, you're pretty much at the liberty of, again, how stretchy is that band. Where if you set to the bands where they only come on at a certain point, then basically you could just put more bands in that same length and create a very large discrepancy from top to bottom. So coming in, what the hell does that actually look like? I'm going to show the easiest setup first, which just semantically happens to work out. So again, you have this arsenal piece at the top. They have in here where basically the bar peg that actually holds the weight goes in and it's attached. So you want something that's very, very sturdy. You don't ever attach things to things that are cosmetic. You want things bolted or welded down to the machine. And again, this is where you put all the weight. So this part bolted onto the machine is nice and sturdy. And so for most standard long bands, so again, if you get, these ones are from Elite FTS, but almost anywhere this type of band will have mini bands and then just kind of whatever a traditional band is. This is a pretty standard length. I didn't measure it, but obviously you can figure out from there. I don't know, maybe it's 3 feet long, whatever, it doesn't matter. But again, these are from Elite FTS. You want to get them from there. Kudos, I don't have a code because Dave Tate won't sponsor me. Come on, Dave. But so anyway, for pure semantic reasons, taking this band looped around once and attached with a carabiner tends to work out perfect. What do I mean by work out perfect? So hopefully everybody can see what I did there. This is a band, search band, workout band, resistance band, exercise band, Elite FTS band, you'll find them. This is a carabiner, search carabiner, you will find them. With enough carabiners and bands, you can make anything functional work. So I'm gonna have Cody demonstrate now what I mean by that, why this is a perfect setup for this. And for most people, this will be a great default. So when he comes up to the top of his rep, so before he even starts, this is completely relaxed. So whatever weight is on here, this coincidentally is Cody's 1 rep max we've got on here for demos, 1 plate. But right here, the band is completely slack. So as he starts to go down, maybe after 6 inches, the band is starting to assist. So as he drops all the way down to the bottom, the band's gonna have its maximum length. So what that does is he comes back up to the top. You'll see as he finishes the last 6 inches range of motion, it goes completely slack. You can rack it, Cody, for just 1 rep is all I want to show. So hopefully that makes sense. Is what I want is that last 6 inches, he is handling this load, whatever is on here. And then basically as soon as he starts into the descent, starts into his eccentric, the band starts to assist and makes it lighter at the bottom. So again, people are going to ask, what's the exact amount? If I had to say a percentage, you maybe want a 20%-ish difference from the bottom to the top. And again, that's based just on experience, ballparking, again, working with a lot of different people, nothing super exact. The way that I really determine are the bands right is if I have someone that knows how to execute properly, trained at a high intensity, I look at their failure reps. So with a lot of people on a normal hack, basically the bottom's always perceivably the hardest. So they're basically kind of get stuck sometimes at the bottom, someone touches it and they can power through to the top. So if you're ever to the point where, again, the bottom is the sticking point, once you're through that, you can go right up to the top. That's the whole point of why we put bands on, because I don't want you to just kind of spring up to the top. I want you to have grinder reps through the entire range of motion. So I adjust bands and that discrepancy from top to bottom, basically just looking at last reps. And what I'm trying to create is grinder reps. I'm not going to do a separate video on that, but grinder reps when you have heavy loads, training in close proximity to failure, reps moving at slow speed, that's probably an equation for about the highest force production you can get. Now, again, the question is, does everybody need that? Does everybody need grinders? No. But again, go back to the beginning of the video. Again, if efficiency is the notion that you're after, if you're pretty far along in the training game, you probably need to keep progressing things. Even more than load, you need to progress the force that you're using, the force that's actually getting to muscles. So this is an easy setup for the Arsenal. What do you do if you don't have the Arsenal? Well, you'll see the things that I tend to use on a whole bunch of stuff. Detach this, take this off, is I use these things called daisy chains. So daisy is in the flower, spell out daisy flower. Maybe we'll put these up written here on the screen somewhere. I won't do it. Trevor will do it. Thank you, Trevor. But basically what we're gonna do, I'm supposed to pretend there's not a camera guy here. This is just me, fly on the wall, YouTubing along. But anyway, so these things are called daisy chains. These are designed for rock climbing or mountain climbing. If you're into rock climbing or mountain climbing, you can tell me what these are actually supposed to be used for. But the nice thing is these are tested to like a bajillion pounds. They're literally going to be rated by newtons. So if you're interested, you can actually take the newtons and calculate out the pounds. And these loops are literally something ridiculous. Like they can hold 5,000 pounds or something. So obviously they can hold somebody dangling from a rock. Trust me, they can hold Cody's PR here weight. You'll be just fine. So what is the point of these? One, they make it easy. Again, basically this is just loop through. Hope you can figure that out. It's not complicated. Looped it around, stuck it through the end. Bingo, it's on there tight. I can pull on this apparently with 5,000 pounds of torque and it's not, or load or whatever, and it's not gonna go anywhere. And the nice part about these is depending on the machine, depending on where you can attach the band, depending on the individual's height, I can create the same circumstance that I just said where I want it to be basically relaxed at some point and tight at another point. So I'm gonna have Cody hop on here again. Where do you attach it from here before Cody goes? Basically, again, you want to find the frame of the machine. So again, some things, the headrest is not actually welded in. It's not actually strongly bolted into the thing. The Arsenal, it happens to be. Lots of times if these aren't, the pads aren't. So wrap it around something, again, that is a part of the frame. Sometimes you could actually take it out here on the weight peg itself. So again, I could put this from here to the side. I could put it outside of a plate. Find something unmoving, and then basically you can attach it via the daisy chain. So again, I wrapped it around something unmoving, welded, bolted, whatever, something designed to tolerate hundreds of pounds, and we're attached. So again, looped around the headrest. I'll show Cody, have him demo this, and I'll show you again the hypotheticals of what I mean. So again, when he goes here, again, this isn't quite perfect, but I'm just showing obviously for demo purposes. Go ahead, Cody. And then he comes on, and at some point in time it stretches, makes it lighter at the bottom, and then at some point in time it relaxes, and now he's got all the weight that's on the sled. Again, the other setup was actually a little bit better. He can rack it, Cody. But I just wanted to show, so again, hypothetically, if this was too tight from the beginning or whatever it is and you want it looser, I can obviously have them come on at different points. So I could put it down here, and I'll have Cody demo one more time. And hopefully this just makes sense that at a different point in the range of motion, the bands are gonna start to go tight. Pull this off here. Go ahead, Cody. Good, you can rack it. And I'll show one more option for again, people say, oh, my headrest doesn't work, the pad doesn't work, whatever doesn't work. Well, then this is what I was talking about. You can put it actually outside of a plate, so you can put a plate on first. You know if this is gonna hold your plates, it's gonna hold your band. Crank it on there tight. Let me take this one off, otherwise it probably won't go down. Go ahead, Cody, again. So again, you can see this one is super tight right from the beginning, starting to stretch as he goes down. Gonna take off a lot at the bottom. So this is probably a better example I could have done first. Rack it one more time, Cody. So again, that comes on, that's too tight too soon. So what did I mean by that? Well, I could put it down here. That's a little bit more relaxed, probably even put it one more. So go ahead and demo from there, Cody, one more time. So by adjusting where I put it on the daisy chain, instead of being too tight from the top, I put it here. It's stretching, and that way it's only helping at the bottom, and the last 6 inches, it's completely relaxed. Cool. So hopefully, again, using the little bit of pre-MacGyvering here, and you MacGyver yourself at home a little bit or at your gym, unless you have a hack at your home, in which case kudos for you, you probably got some big legs. Hopefully you can figure out how to get it on the top of basically any hack squat. Again, with you have enough daisy chains, enough bands, enough carabiners, and some part of your machine. And again, the default will be this. If you have to do that last setup I showed you, obviously every machine has a place to put on weight, unless you've got some Kaiser hack. I don't think Kaiser makes a hack, but this is the way that pretty much fail-proof to set it up from the top. And again, just wherever you put it, that's what you're looking for. You know, you'll have to test it once or twice, slightly pain in the ass, and say, oh, that's a pain in the ass. It's gonna take you 5 minutes the first time. Then you'll remember, okay, I put this here. If this kind of bothers you being the plate, you can slide it more to the side, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be even. The track will essentially even it out to a certain degree, and you'll figure out, okay, it's this loop, whatever. Once you have it set up for you, it'll take you 5 seconds every single time after that. Now let's come over here and look at the bottom. I've got 8,000 things set up for the bottom. So the first one I'm going to show is, so this is the Arsenal. Now I know all of you don't have this, so relax. I'll show you how to set it from the bottom in a minute. But if you do have the Arsenal, kudos for Arsenal for putting some band pegs on there. This is what these are actually designed for, is to attach bands from the bottom. Now again, I said in the beginning, but hopefully you guys realize if I do the bands properly, what I'm looking for is that bottom 6 inches-ish, maybe even just the very bottom. I want it completely relaxed. So the only weight that he has is what's actually on the sled. And then basically that band gets tighter as it goes to the top and gets heavier and heavier as it comes up. So I'll have, I'll put this up here and I'll have Cody demo 1 rep. I'm guessing this is gonna be too tight, but I could be wrong. We'll find out real fast. So again, as he goes right now, obviously it's very tight from the top. Let's see what happens as we get to the last 6 inches. Yeah, so again, it's pretty much tight the whole time. I don't ever really get it to relax. So you can go ahead and line that up. So what I like on this one, again, this is the whole point of the daisy chain. I've got a daisy chain here. And let's say I want to create a nice discrepancy top to bottom. Let's try this one. So hopefully you can see again, instead of being already tightened, I'm going to basically have it changed. Maybe that's the bottom of the daisy chain is, I don't know, 10 inches. So maybe the bottom 10 inches will get to relax now. So again, that's the whole point of the daisy chain. Even when you have a band peg at the bottom, daisy chains are super helpful. So go ahead. Just missed it. All right. We'll go one more time. I should have prepared this ahead of time, but I want to show you guys, this is what you guys will have to figure out, and it's not really that much of a pain in the ass.
See, now once we know my profile.
Yeah, we got it perfect. Then once you do it, you're done. All right, this one's going to be it. I can tell, guys. This is going to be the moment. All right, Cody's getting some extra reps. Cody just trained legs, so again, this is some nice, feeling really good right now. And I did it! See, look, now that's all I meant by that is this is pretty much completely relaxed, just about close enough. And so basically it's coming on right at the bottom. Go ahead and run it, Cody. So let's say something else you want to show. Now, like I said, this might work for someone. Again, for Cody, who can only max one plate on here, that might be perfect. But let's say someone does a shit ton of weight, so they need to create a large discrepancy. Again, instead of doing more bands, I'm going to do this thing that I'm going to say I'm invented. It's called looping a band. So we loop it. Trademark Joe Bennett looping hypertrophy coach loopage. Catch that? And we can do this type of deal. And again, this is where bands come in very handy. I'm gonna need to get somebody. Mom! Mom! All right. Good luck, Cody.
Now I feel like I'm crushed.
No, it's actually not gonna be that bad. So now obviously the band is imparting twice as much force at the top. And if I set it up at the right spots, going through, look at that, pretty relaxed at the bottom. See that? Perfect. So again, big difference from top to bottom. And then trick, when you want, go ahead and bring it all the way down. Take it off so you don't have to do that embarrassing thing I just did at the bottom. All the way back to the top.
Oh, that's true. I guess
Yep.
you could do it that way, couldn't you?
See, we're learning as we go along. So if you've got the band pegs at the bottom, then these are some options that you have, again, to figure out where exactly do I want to be. Instead of necessarily having to buy more bands, you can always loop them over and do that thing that I just did. Now, if you don't have that at the bottom, again, this is another beauty of the daisy chains. Find something unmoving. So again, this is the frame of the machine down here, welded, bolted, whatever it is. And I can just wrap it around. This is not gonna go anywhere. So I can do pretty much the same thing. What did I say? That was a pretty good spot. So right here will probably be a pretty good spot on there as well too. Loop it up, attach it on, up here to the top. And Cody will demo. Sometimes if it gets in the way of you at all, same thing, put a couple plates on first, put it to the outside so it stays there, but this should be all right. So we've got it looped around the bottom. Kudos, relaxed, so the last 6 inches-ish. I'll have Cody bring it down again, stop at the bottom. Same example I gave before. So, okay, this is probably the slightly easier way for the trademark loopage. Joe Bennett, hypertrophy coach looping. So this is the easiest way to set up is when you actually do it from the bottom because I want it relaxed. So right there, it's pretty much, let's do one tighter. Well, we'll do it there. Right there, it's completely relaxed. As soon as he comes up, double down strong and gets tighter as he comes to the top. Good deal? Yeah, so you can do one more just to be mean, basically. The last 6 inches relaxed, comes on right there, heavier to the top. Good, you can lock it up. And so you can imagine, aside from just figuring out the semantics of your machine, again, if someone's shorter or taller, where you want this will be slightly different. So again, someone might need it down here. Again, if they're 2 inches different height than Cody, or might need it up here, same type of thing. So again, the beauty of the daisy chains is one, it can give you an easy anchor at the bottom that's very sturdy, not gonna go anywhere, and also allows you to set them up coming on at different heights. So hopefully all that mess makes sense. Again, as far as the goal of what kind of difference we're trying to create from top to bottom. If you guys are watching, you're like, what the hell are these things? Watch the video right before this one and you'll find out what these sweet things are for on the hack as well too. Again, just gonna double down on, does everyone have to do this? Of course not. Does it arguably make your time in the gym more efficient? You know, especially more challenging, not just for a given exercise, but for a given range of motion you're gonna travel through? Yes. And again, who does that matter for? In my opinion, it matters for my demographic. Cody's been bodybuilding for a minute, trying to do pretty good. And same for Terrence, who's laying on the floor over there somewhere from our leg workout. You got a picture of him? Go on, we gotta show him. We'll get him on before he's done. And but efficiency is the name of the game. And for that reason as well too, orthopedically, if you guys don't know, I'm a little bit more of a lower volume advocate, again, for orthopedic health, joint health. And so again, that really ties in with the notion of efficiency as well too. So again, if you're a little bit more of a lower volume approach as well too, that's where profiles and things like that come in super duper handy as well. And again, I'm going to say the one thing I'll give here as well too, if you're someone, you probably don't know if you are because you're not self-aware, but if you're that person that likes to cheat and likes to put on 8,000 bands just to make it easier and make it look cooler for the gram, then just have a rule for yourself, attach them from the bottom. So again, you can't cheat if they're attaching from the bottom. Worst case scenario, you just have it loose the whole time and you're doing the same weight you normally hack. But again, one thing for sure is you're only making it more challenging, again, putting bands from the bottom, where again, you can have the exact same effect done properly, top to bottom, but if you want a little bit of an idiot-proof method or a cheat-proof method, then attach them from the bottom, and you won't have to worry about making it easier on yourself. So hopefully that all helps. If you didn't hit the subscribe, like button, all that stuff in the beginning, do it now, and come back for more stuff like this. If something's confusing, doesn't make sense, whatever, just DM Cody. Just kidding. Leave it in the comments below, and I'll try and help you guys figure out whatever the hell I was talking about that didn't make sense.